Hello, everybody. Scott Golden with the WCW Saturday Night Report or series for the 2nd of January 1993. We enter the year 1993. We've got several more of these reports to do. Probably in the end, probably about 125, 150. But right about here, Vader is your new world champion again for the second time. Vader, of course, a big deal in this era. Cactus Jack and the Barbarian are out first in a tag team match here. Johnny Gunn and the Z-Man are their opponents for the day. Cactus and the Barbarian, of course, alongside Tony Atlas there. We see basically Gunn do a lot of basic work with Cactus Jack, Irish whips, and working over the arm. Meanwhile, Jack and the Barbarian have a little bit of miscommunication slash frustration with each other on the floor. Tom Zink comes back in. Zink's still with the company through the springtime, I believe. When we see it cut off in the corner by the heels, and the match actually breaks down into a bit of a brawl. Zink takes over a little bit and gets sent into the ropes, double down by both men. Cactus Jack eventually gets things going back in the direction for his team, and their power basically leads to the victory in relatively, or does not lead to the victory in relatively quick fashion, as the Barbarian just uses his power to kick Johnny Gunn in the head after a Thesz press on the Cactus Jack. Gives him the advantage. Then we go back to the Clash of the Champions. Hank Aaron is promoted here as a big deal. Starrcade 92 highlight package. Sting included there. Of course, Sting winning the Battle Bowl 1992 ring, which at the time was a big deal. Dan Spivey and Van Hammer make their way out. Some miscommunication between Johnny B. Bad and friends make their way out. They're pretty well doing about 3 or 4 minutes of non-sequential deals for the review of Starrcade 92. The Battle Bowl won by Great Muta. The next time they do Battle Bowl is 1996. Hype from a coach of Eric Watts about his athletic ability and the coach's belief, which is kind of weird to me, that in fact Mr. Watts would be successful in professional wrestling. Watts comes out and takes on Mustafa Saeed. Yes, Mustafa Saeed, otherwise known as Gangster Mustafa of ECW fame. Saeed sends Watts back into the corner. Lots of shoulder tackling there. Lots of power moves, and to be completely honest, why Saeed never caught on with his size and effort here, I don't quite understand. Watts goes to work on his leg, finally turns him over for a sloppy STF. Meanwhile, Cactus Jack continues his frustrations with both Van Hammer and the Eric Watts thing over the next couple of weeks. But anyway, Tony Atlas vents about having the strongest arms in WCW, wanting to take out Van Hammer eventually. Rick Rude comes back and basically makes remarks that he was illegally and unfairly stripped of the WCW US title and his shot at the World Championship. U.S. Heavyweight title tournament begins here because Rude was stripped for not defending within the 30-day time limit. Vinny Vegas, otherwise known as Kevin Nash, against Dustin Rhodes, a match in that tournament. Vegas tries to use his power, shoves Rhodes off a little bit. Rhodes takes the man down and goes to work on the leg for just a little while. We then see, some crimp up there, and ultimately, hard shots by what later would be known as Kevin Nash, for now is known as Vinny Vegas. He hits a couple of chops down on the man, gets down on the man pretty simply and easily. Bear hugs by Nash. Nash stays on him pretty convincingly. Not a match worth going out of your way to see because it's very slow and plodding. Not to be unexpected with the combatants that are in there. Rhodes eventually does get a victory and advance into the further rounds of the tournament. Obviously, going on with a bulldog and hitting a drop kick and getting the eventual victory there. A pair off after plugging the next Clash of the Champion. A pair off in an interview where Steve Austin and Brian Pillman are paired up by Barry Windham. Windham, of course, had been teaming with Pillman. Basically, Windham says he wants to see Pillman thrive and be a tag team champion, and the only way that can happen is if he has a good partner. Austin presented him as a partner. Ricky Nelson and Larry Santo are out here next as combatants for Pillman and Austin. They do not have matching gear yet. Of course, they are the resurgence of the Hollywood Blondes, one of my favorite tag teams of all time, and certainly of that era. Santo taking Austin over with some hip tosses, stays on the arm bars, and the like. Really basic stuff, nothing worth writing home about, but at the same time, Austin taking some selling from the enhancement talent here, even in 1993, doesn't make sense to me. Pillman comes in, he's more aggressive. Amazing to see his son following in his footsteps 20 years, 25 years later. Obviously, the Hollywood Blondes do get the victory here. We are also reminded once again that Vader is once again your World Heavyweight Champion. They plug local area house shows and show clips of Vader and Ron Simmons, or Vader and Sting, at Starrcade 92. They end up doing the King of Cable thing, and ultimately Vader just manhandling Sting. They're obviously showing the match because they continue to go back to it throughout the summer months. Hype for the Starrcade replay and the upcoming Clash of the Champions. U.S. Heavyweight Title Tournament match again here. Tony Atlas is in the tournament, which strikes me as odd. Van Hammer, his opponent, of course, they hyped that earlier in the day. Van Hammer and Tony Atlas is a struggle to watch, but they also physically struggle for power and dominance. Needless to say, some Irish whips by Atlas. Atlas with a bunch of shots, and ultimately nailing the adversary there. Irish whip by Atlas. Atlas manages to miss a clothesline. Then Van Hammer manages to go with a couple of shoulder tackles and the like. Irish whip and clothesline. And then again, we see a leg drop across the back of the leg. Of course, Cactus Jack out there with Tony Atlas. And things continue. And Atlas advances to the next round with a kind of cheesy win over Van Hammer here. Obviously furthering this tournament, but not necessarily furthering the career of Tony Atlas or Van Hammer at that juncture. Up close and personal interview with Arn Anderson next. Anderson talks about not being really renewed in WCW, not being a major force, even though he used to be. Jesse Ventura doing the interviewing. It's really kind of an interesting piece because I don't know how much truth there is to it, but basically Anderson says he's kind of been left behind by WCW indirectly. Johnny B. Bad out here next, facing off against a heel Barry Windham. This match would happen again over the coming months, but here Windham really kind of dominant in the early stages with power, starting to look more bloated than he had in previous years. Maybe he stopped caring about physical appearance and or physique and or all of that. Cheap shots by Windham. Windham doesn't really seem to care or mind much about that. Back suplex by Windham, hanging style, out of a headlock that Bad had on him for quite a few minutes. Windham manages shots to the midsection, manages short shots to the roundabout area, the midsection, and it kind of stays on him. Windham manages to be in control for at least the second half of the match. Bad gets caught on the receiving end of some suplexes and the like. Bad jumps to the outside, goes to the top rope, goes for the sunset flip from the top that he has used as a finish before. Nails that maneuver, but Amazingly, Wyndham rolls through athletically, hits a lariat, and then hits the, I guess you'd say, modified jumping DDT. Beautiful maneuver, and Barry Windham gets a victory over Johnny B. Bad right in the middle here in the beginning of 1993. Wyndham, I really wish had stayed in better shape during this time period. Really starting to enjoy his work, but it's not really there as much. Um, Tag team champions Shane Douglas and Ricky Steamboat are here. They're basically talking about the upcoming challenges they have and the fact that they really want to be one of the highly regarded tag teams. Of course, there's issues going back with Wyndham and Steamboat over the run there, and that's uncomfortable as it is. And we've got about 15 minutes or so left in the program after the Steamboat interview. Dan Spivey in for a match with Ricky Steamboat. Again, this is a U.S. title tournament match. Spivey seems to be come and go during the time period. He's not here much longer into 1993 that I can seem to recall. Of course, he pops up in WWF a couple years later with the Waylon Mercy gimmick, which was a fun character, but by that point his body was pretty well shot. Spivey, having the power advantage, takes over on Steamboat for the first couple of minutes. Steamboat goes back to technical prowess, but always gets knocked down with either clotheslines or shoulder tackles by Spivey. Spivey does look in good shape here in 1993, but doesn't really seem motivated as he seems to prefer the Japanese style. Suplexes and the like. Worth going out of your way to see this match, though. As I would also encourage anybody who wants to learn the art of selling to go out of their way to see the Bad and Wyndham match from earlier. Cut downs with several shots by Spivey here. Clothesline out of the corner by Spivey. Spivey not intimidated or impressed by Steamboat. Steamboat goes to the top rope, which again has been reinstated. Top rope crossbody 1, 2, 3 by the former NWA champion and former Intercontinental champion of the WWF, and there is a victory for Steamboat. Basically, Barry Windham says he's finally going to get even with Ricky Steamboat in the coming weeks at the U.S. title tournament's expense, and that is where we go. Hopefully this has been enjoyable. We've got over 1,200 of these available, actually 1,250 now, available for your listening pleasure. Also, if you're looking for life, business, relationship coaching, please check out Golden Opportunities Coaching, which is my main channel, and would love to be of service to you in that way. Until next time, keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment. Until next time, everybody.